Today, we're here at the East End Ironworks for a major milestone in Houston's literary scene. Let's go check it out. This is officially a home for Latino voices, stories, and perspectives, which are so often missing from mainstream bookstore culture. Let's go inside because I want you guys to meet the owner and founder, Elizabeth Farfán-Santos. Knock, knock. Hey,
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. This is a place where you are officially home at. Tell us how it all came to be, because I know it wasn't always a stand brick and mortar before you were doing a lot of community events.
It's been a year that I launched Dreamers as a pop-up shop. So around this time last year, I was basically going around in my car and trying out different coffee shops, trying to meet people to see where I could put my books. And I would make fun and say, I'm like going around saying, hey, ¿quieren libros? Because when I was growing up, my mother and my grandmother and would sell tacos from the van, from their truck. And I would go with them and they would sell to like the construction workers, and they would go to the construction sites like a lot of folks still do. And it would be like, quieren tacos, right? And so it felt very familiar to me, although it wasn't until later on that she was like, it's just like when we used to sell tacos. So, you know, in the beginning, nobody knew who I was or what I was doing. And so there were a lot of confused looks, you know, and it was a lot of explaining, like, it's just a table with some books and, you know, just for a couple of hours. And, you know, until finally I was able to get some folks to let me put my books out, and the rest is history.
Well, I love that you didn't have what you wanted, so you went out and created it. Why did you find it necessary to branch out on your own and to handpick and curate these books and bring them to different communities, meet people where they are?
Yeah, because I was having a hard time finding them for myself. You know, I've been a reader my whole life. I was also a professor at University of Houston in Latino. My work was on Latino culture, Latin American culture, and so I loved going to indie bookstores and scouting out the Latino authors. But I wanted more. I used to go to bookstores in Mexico all the time when I was living there, and when I was growing up, we would just walking to the market with my grandmother. We would pass through a book market, you know, on a regular weekday, or books, someone selling books from just a blanket on the floor, and they were always fascinating, you know, kind of deep, interesting books, and I was thirsty for that here. I would just desire to have a Latino bookstore that I could celebrate, that I could promote, that I could visit. Yeah, and I just eventually said, you know what, it's gonna be me.
There is a need and a want for this. This is something that is underserved.
Yes, I grew up watching my grandfather read. He would read anything that he could get his hands on. And I know from my family, my aunts are avid readers as well, that, you know, Latinos are readers. I've seen that at my pop-ups because people will come to my table and are always surprised by what they see. People get emotional, have gotten emotional at the table. I've had people say, I never thought that I would see something like this in my lifetime. I've had people thank me. I've had people give me blessings. I knew that it was necessary because I grew up seeing it and I could feel it. And so I wasn't surprised to see that response, but it did strengthen my conviction for how much we needed this.
It's humbling when you think about all of the community rallying around you, and because they know, they believe in your dream. Mm-hmm. That leads me to the name. The name Dreamers comes from a really special place. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it comes from Yuyi Morales' book called Dreamers. And Yuyi writes about her, she's writing about her trip, her voyage, her migration to the United States with her son, and finding belonging, finding safety, finding herself, finding voice in the books of the library, of the public library. It's such a beautiful story, but it also speaks to the power of books. You know, there's nothing more humbling and more important than traveling and meeting other people. We can't always get out and meet everybody in the world, but we can read books, and that's as close as we can get to meeting the diversity of the humanity that we coexist with. It was a no-brainer for me. The bookstore was going to signify the same thing. It was going to be a space where everybody in our Houston community could feel welcome to find books that represent their voice, that with images and stories that they can connect with, that they're familiar with, that they can see themselves in, but then also for people that are dying to learn more about our communities, because there are so many people like that also here in Houston.
For people who are going to visit, because now this is a permanent location inside the East End, inside Ironworks, this is Suite 11, okay, 711 Milby. What's the book experience you want people to have when they come here? Now that this is your space and you're curating it, tell me what you want people to feel.
I want people to take possession of this space. I want people to feel this space as their own. This bookstore belongs to us. It was built by us. It wouldn't exist without all of the people that showed up to the pop-ups and that continue to show up. I'm gonna try not to cry. So I want people to feel welcome. I want people to utilize this space. I want people to recommend books to me. I want people to see this as a space where they can feel safe to explore, and that's the main thing. Yeah.
It's okay to cry.
Yeah.
We're all really proud of you. I've been here for like 20 minutes. I already have my eye on a couple of books. So if you don't mind me, Lenny, I'm gonna make some purchases. And yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
This was awesome. Seriously, this one looks so good. I think I want this one.
That one is for you.
Look at this. Hello. I'm buying this. I'm buying this, and then I saw one for Travis. Where is it? Ah, Mexican White Boy. Here it is. Yes, I did buy those books. So I didn't realize until after the interview that Elizabeth is also an author. She says knowing the struggle of getting her books presented to the masses was a big part of her motivation to open Dreamers. So she's going to pay it forward. She wants to support local authors. We will link her to the Scene On section of HoustonLife.tv.